Lisa Cohen with Obagi is joining us. She is the National Education Manager at Obagi with expertise in chemical peels and extensive ingredient knowledge. She has a BA in Communications from Pepperdine University and became a licensed esthetician in 2008. She's worked in both private practice as well as in 5 diamond luxury spas with a celebrity clientele. She was the 2021 Obagi Educator of the Year and currently resides in Southern California with her husband. And without further ado, welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Chrissy. Hello, everyone. We're so excited to be with you today. And we understand that the response has been great for this training, this masterclass. So thank you all for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've got some great slides to share with you. And we're going to get started with conditions of the skin. We were already prepped that the knowledge of those in attendance was very high. So we've got some great trainings to go with you today. So let's get started here. So let's talk about the basic structure of the skin. So here's some fun facts. And some of these you may know, but some of these you may not, which I think is really cool. The largest organ in the body, right? It's 15% of our body weight, or 16% of our body weight. Of course, we know it regulates the temperature and the cells that are regenerating, right? This happens every 28 days in adults and very quickly in babies, so about every 2 weeks there. We also know that the thinnest, right? We talk about this all the time. We talk about our eye products. The thinnest skin is on the eyelids and the thickest is on the bottom of the feet. And so this is kind of gross, right? 50% of the dust in your home is skin. So think about that one. Your skin every minute sheds 30,000 cells. So that's just some interesting fun facts there. Now let's get into the layers of the skin, and we're going to start with the epidermis. So this is the outermost layer of the skin. This includes the stratum corneum. So we're talking about what you can visibly see. But in this epidermis, we're really going to talk today about the melanocytes, right? Because we're going to be talking about discoloration. And just as an overview, a little bit deeper than that is where we get to the dermis. And this is where your nerve endings are, your sweat glands are, fibroblasts. These reside down in the dermis, and this is responsible for the glycosaminoglycans, which gives your skin its cushion, responsible for the collagen in your skin, which gives your skin its strength. It's responsible for the elastin in your skin, which gives it that bounce back. And as we go a little bit deeper, now we're talking about the subcutaneous layer. This is the fatty layer, right? So we are going to talk about damaged skin versus healthy skin. Because what we were hearing a lot is when we looked at those who are participating in this, they had a lot of questions around skin discoloration, right? So how does that happen? When you look at the damaged skin side, you'll notice that there is what we call, discoloration on the surface. Remember, this is the stratum corneum on top. When you go a little bit deeper, we see keratinocytes. And we also are seeing little melanin granules, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. When you look at the healthy skin side, you'll notice a nice, tight, compact stratum corneum. You'll also notice that those keratinocytes are plump and juicy and healthy, and that's what we want. Remember when we talked about the cellular turnover and how cells are renewing every 28 days in adults, but in babies, they're renewing about every 2 weeks? What do you think of when you think of baby skin? Do you think of that plump, juicy, hydrated skin? It's so good, you almost want to eat it. It looks so good. That is what happens when you get that renewal very quickly. Well, unfortunately, as we age, those cells are slowing down. They're coming a bit sluggish. They're forming odd angles, which is why on this damaged skin side, you're seeing the peaks and the valleys, right? So let's talk about the 3 main skin structures. The keratinocyte, as I just spoke about, this is great for, getting that nice protective barrier in your skin. Now the melanocytes, we are going to talk about this because this is what's producing melanin in your skin. And then the fibroblasts, as I mentioned, right? The glycosaminoglycans, the elastin, the collagen, resides there. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to connect the product recommendation to the structure in the skin, and we'll be talking about products a bit later in the presentation. Skin typing. So we're going to have another poll question in just a second here, but skin type means many things. Some of you may be aware of what we call the Fitzpatrick Scale. Now, this was developed by Dr. Fitzpatrick a long time ago, and he is in about 250 original scientific publications. So what is the Fitzpatrick Scale? For some of you who don't know this, it's a way of rating your skin on a scale of 1 to 6. Okay, and so this is indications of how your skin reacts to the sun. So do you always burn? Are you that person that's super fair? When I think of this, I'm thinking of a Nicole Kidman, right? She always burns, probably never tans. Now let's look all the way to the end of Fitzpatrick 6. Now, this person probably never burns. When I think of this skin tone, I'm thinking of like a Viola Davis, or I'm thinking of a Lupita Nyong'o, right? So where do you fall? Get ready for your poll question that's coming up next. Where do you fall on the Fitzpatrick scale? And we'll give you some time to think about this. So are you a type 1? Remember, that's the Nicole Kidman. Type 2, I would consider myself about a type 2, a type 3, type 4, type 5, or type 6. And this is important, right? When we're thinking about ways that we can help the skin, we want to know the Fitzpatrick type because it's going to help us really direct you towards appropriate skincare. All right, so let's see. Are you making your choices? Type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. I'm kind of thinking we might have a little bit of everybody on the call. I sure hope so. All right, we've got some type 1s. We've got mostly type 2. So a lot of you have my skin type there, type 3, type 4, type 5. This is fantastic. And here's just a side note here. Did you know that Obagi products are tested on all skin types? This is important because when we talk about especially higher fits, fits 4, fits 5, fits 6, we'll talk about fragility in the skin and how important it is to use products that have been tested on your skin type so that you have the confidence that it's going to work for your skin. Great, fantastic. We will have some more poll questions coming up. So we did speak a little bit about color. We'll dive a little bit deeper into there. Thickness. Do you have thin skin? Do you have thick skin? How is your skin? Is it too oily or is it dry? Is it lax? Like, is it showing crepiness, lines and wrinkles? And we did just speak about fragility in our darker skin tones. So we look at skin considerations here. Are you dry, normal, or oily? But not only that, we talked about the Fitzpatrick scale. Now here's the difference here. Fitzpatrick 3 through Fitzpatrick 6, you have a high potential for post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. A lot of times Fitz 3, 4, 5, 6 darker skin tones, they're not a great candidate for laser treatments, right? Because some lasers pick up on pigment. And we don't want to pigment someone. The idea is to go in for a laser and for them to help with pigment. A lot of times they're not great candidates. So guess what? We want to make sure that we give them some great topical products to help with their skin concerns. Laxity, we talked about this as we age, the breaking down of collagen, of elastin, it shows up as that jowling, right? That sagging. We do have products that will help with that too. Thickness or thinness of the skin is important. And then that fragility. We talked about this in our darker skin tones. They have increased sensitivity. The skin heals more slowly in these individuals. And again, the higher likelihood of those post-procedural complications with the post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. Now, we do want to dive a little bit deeper into melanocytes, and here is a visual. Now, let's talk about melanogenesis, or the beginning of dark. That we break down melanogenesis. Genesis is the beginning, melano is dark. Where is it born? Well, remember, this is the top layer of skin. This we're talking about here is your epidermis. And what's circled here is the basal layer or base layer of the epidermis. And that is where melanin is born. That is where it all starts there, right? The melanogenesis is normal, right? And you want an even skin tone. You do not want irregular pigmentation. So that's healthy. But in damaged skin, we have excess melanin, right? And this results in hyperpigmentation, and this also results in dark spots. So here's some more fun facts for you. There is one melanocyte to 30 to 40 keratinocytes. So that's interesting, right? Here's some more interesting things to talk about. Melanin is what gives your skin its color, but it's got functionality too. It protects you from the UV rays, right? Those harmful rays. It shields those deeper cells from DNA damage to the cell nucleus. Now, we do have variations in skin colors we talked about with the Fitzpatrick, right? The distribution and the size of those melanocytes differ from person to person. Freckles are genetic and they become more prominent in sunlight. Now, here's a visual of melanocytes and what they look like. They're predetermined at birth. Interesting, right? They have branches, and this allows that melanin to be distributed from cell to cell. They're regulated by hormones, something called a melanocyte stimulating hormone. There's two types of melanin because sometimes we have what I call like a darker coffee ground stain or pigment, and sometimes we can have red or yellow tints to those. So the mix of melanin, the size of the melanin, the type, the distribution, the color, this all has determinations to it. Here's some more fun facts here. So we did talk about the basal layer of the epidermis. Did you also know that there's melanocytes in the middle layer of the eye? There's also melanocytes in the inner ear, in the vaginal epithelium, in the bones, in your heart. So all of these are where melanin lives. Now let's talk about some irregular conditions. Some of you on the call might have this blotch of pigment, and typically if it's on one side, you're going to see it on the other side. So you could have that bilateral blotches of pigment. You also might have that blotch of pigment across the forehead, right? This is melasma, sometimes called chloasma. Now, hyperpigmentation of various types happens, right? And it is more likely in people of color or in our darker skin tones. So melasma or chloasma, some more fun facts here, 200,000 cases are reported a year. So it's pretty prevalent, right? 10% male, majority of the cases are female, and usually between the ages of 20 and 50. So as I mentioned, bilateral on the cheeks, across the forehead. Some of you get that right on the upper lip, right above the upper lip there as well. So it appears on sun-exposed areas of the body, and as I mentioned, more common in higher Fitzpatrick type. There is a hereditary link. Sometimes you might say, oh, my mom had this, my grandma had this, and so it is hereditary as well. Let's look at some triggers. Of course, going out into the sun. A lot of times we'll hear that, oh, I saw improvement with my pigment, and then I went out into the sun, I went into a hot sauna, I was exposed to some kind of trauma, and we know that heat causes inflammation, and inflammation leads to hyperpigmentation. So if we are going to be treating this skin condition, we 100% need to be using our SPF. We need to be avoiding the sun between the hours of 10 and 2, seeking the shade as much as possible, and we need to be wearing our protective clothing, sun visors, as well as all those things. But not only sun exposure, right? Some of you might say, oh no, I'm so good about my sun exposure. I'm so good about my SPF. I wear the protective gear. I've got my sunglasses on. I'm completely covered head to toe. Pregnancy. We know that, maybe you never had a problem all through life and then you get pregnant. And we know that there's a hormone factor here, right? And so then what has to happen is you have to, deliver. And then not only that, you have to finish breastfeeding too. And so we've got all those hormones in there, right? We know that birth control pills, again, we're fluctuating hormones there. Hormone replacement therapy as well, right? So think of all the things that come into play here. So we know that melanin gives pigment, right? And we know that we can get some brown spots to form on the surface of the skin. And we know that also we can inhibit some of this pigment. And that's what we want to hear about today. So thank you for doing the conditions of the skin overview. We do have some more content to get through with you, and we're going to be talking about products. Now, it is important to know the difference here. So Obagi, yes, we do have topical prescription products. And what we're talking about today is some over-the-counter options. So it's important that you reach out to your provider to get advice on prescription products. So now let's talk about Nu-Derm, right? It's Nu-Derm Fx, and Obagi has been around for just about 35 years now. So we have a lot of experience with this, and we're going to talk about some solutions. So we talked about the problems, right? So let's talk about the Nu-Derm system, because we can get some help there. We can get some help with that prematurely aged skin. We can get some help with that skin turnover that we talked about. Remember, in babies, every 2 weeks, it's happening. Nice, plump, healthy, juicy. And in some of us on this call, it's taking a little bit longer for that to happen. So we want to speed it back up again. We're going to get some help with that evening of the skin tone. And we're going to get some clarifying and some brightening. So who on this call wants help with all those things, right? Prematurely aging skin, sign me up. Increasing that cell turnover, enhancing that, sign me up again. Who doesn't want brighter skin? So this is a fantastic solution for you. We had this in a poll question. Does anyone remember that? About what topical ingredient can help with discoloration? Well, here it is. It's arbutin. And some of you may be familiar with arbutin and some of you may not. So let's just go over what it is. So arbutin, now naturally, if you went out into nature and you picked bearberries and pomegranates and pears, that's a natural way to get arbutin. Now our arbutin is synthetically made, right? But it is effective in skin brightening. It is great for photoaged skin. It's definitely an antioxidant, right? And we all know how important antioxidants are. When you go out into environmental stressors like smoke, smog, sun, pollution, they're trying to harm your cells. So we want to protect our cells against those free radical damages. Skin tone, we've been talking about that a lot during this training. So it's going to help that. It's going to help restore the radiance and the clarity to your skin as well. So some of you may be familiar with our Nu-Derm system. Those of you who are not, here's going to be a fantastic overview for you. So we do have normal to dry and we've got normal to oily. Remember when we talked about conditions of the skin and we talked about dry and normal and oily, and we talked about thinner skin and thicker skin? It's important to know this, right? Because our products are specifically formulated for that normal to dry or that normal to oily. So what you'll notice first off is the cleanser. The cleanser is different. We've got gentle cleanser versus foaming gel. Now foaming gel has a little bit more suds to it, right? It's important to break down that sebaceous glue so that we can get products into the skin. So that's morning and night. Toner, step 2. This is really important. I think toners are fantastic. Ours is alcohol-free. It has witch hazel in it. So it's a great way to prep the skin for everything we're going to put on after. Now we get to our number 3. We get to Clear FX. Now this is the product, one of the products that has that really great concentration of arbutin in it. Remember, so this is going to be a great way to brighten our skin. So you're going to be using this morning and night. Right on top of 1/2 gram, and I'm going to show you 1/2 gram. 1/2 gram. Some people say, well, how much is 1/2 gram? How much am I going to put? So here is your clear or your blender because it's 1/2 gram, and your Expoderm or Expoderm Forte. Each one of those you're going to put 1/2 gram. So what is 1/2 gram? It's a fingertip unit. So it's like a spaghetti strip of product from that line on your pinky to the end. All right, do you guys all see that? That is 1/2 gram. So what you're going to do with that is you are going to, after you cleanse and tone, you're going to take that and you're going to apply it to the forehead, and you're going to feather it down our neck and even our décolleté, because a lot of times we do have pigment on that upper chest area. So right on top of that clear, we're going to put that exfoliant, right? Because we're putting in the arbutin, but we don't want to just leave it there, right? We want to enhance that renewal, right? Remember we talked about those cells and how they are slowing down. So we want to use Expoderm or Expoderm Forte. So here's another difference between the two. Expoderm is going to be that plant-based phytic acid. Expoderm Forte is going to be a combination of lactic and glycolic. So you're getting 2 alpha hydroxy acids there for that exfoliation. Now let's talk about a product we're going to be using at night. That is Blend FX. This is arbutin, but it's different than Clear FX. Clear FX has arbutin in it, so does Blend FX. We use 1/2 gram and 1/2 gram. So those are the similarities. The difference is that the Blend FX has 3 times the amount of glycerin in it, which is important because we're using it at night when your pH is low or your body temperature is higher. We're not producing as much oil in the skin. So a great time to blend with your retinoid. And we'll be talking about this in just a moment as well. So it's equal parts, right? Blend with your retinoid. Hydrate, we're going to be using AM and PM. And then our SPF. SPF is mandatory, especially when you're using a topical retinoid, and especially when you're trying to treat discoloration, especially when we're exfoliating. So we have to have an SPF on to protect your skin. So gentle cleanser foaming gel. Remember, AM and PM. Gentle cleanser is for that fragile, dry, sensitive skin, and foaming gel is for that thicker, oilier, resilient skin. Step 2, that's the toner, right? So we're going to prep the skin to receive everything that we put on after. Free of a harsh alcohol. It's going to balance the pH. Remember the witch hazel. And so this is going to be fantastic AM and PM. Remember, the Clear FX has the arbutin in it, 1/2 gram over the entire face. So this is morning and night. Now, Expoderm Forte, these are AM only. And what's really great about the Nu-Derm products is you'll see they are numbered on the bottle. So it tells you exactly what order to apply it. Not only that, you'll see on Expoderm Forte, it has AM, right? So it tells you right on the bottle, when do I use this? In the morning or at night? Phytic acid, remember that plant-based exfoliant. Now, this is a bit more gentle exfoliant than the combination of glycolic and lactic that's in the Expoderm Forte. So that's an AM only product. Now, this is just a deeper dive into the phytic, glycolic, and lactic. So phytic is synthetically derived. Remember, it promotes that skin sloughing. And then the Expoderm Forte is an exfoliant. It's helping to slough those dead cells as well. Then we get to our nighttime only product, Blend FX. This is called Blend because you blend it. Blend with a friend, I say. What is your friend? Your friend is your nighttime retinoid. So 1/2 gram of Blend, 1/2 gram of your retinoid. Mix them together, put them on at night. Of course, hydrate. This is a great way to hydrate your skin. Sometimes when we are using new products that are active, we can get a little bit of dryness. So this is a way to keep you compliant with using your skincare regimen consistently. It has avocado, it has shea, it has mango, lots of great ingredients in Hydrate to soothe the dryness and the flakiness. And then Sun Shield Matte. As I mentioned, of course, this is mandatory, this SPF. It's an SPF of 50, and it does have that matte finish. And what we love about this is a lot of times people don't like to have a dewy finish, right? They want that matte look. They don't like something that's going to be white on their skin. They don't want something chalky. They want something that makeup's going to go on well after. And that's where the Sun Shield Matte comes in. Now, this is both a physical and a chemical. So what we're doing is with the physical is we are reflecting the rays, and with the chemical, we're absorbing and scattering those rays to keep them from penetrating down. And so this is a fantastic SPF. So vitamin C. I'm a huge fan of vitamin C, and I'm a firm believer that everyone needs to be on a vitamin C of some sort. And if you're familiar with the Obagi portfolio, then you know we've got a lot of fantastic options when it comes to vitamin C. So we're going to talk about my favorite product in the entire portfolio, which is our vitamin C serums. Now, why do I say everybody should be on a vitamin C? Well, because it helps with photo damage. We've been talking a lot about, photo damaged skin. Brightening the skin, right? It's an important way to brighten the skin. It's an antioxidant. So great to protect your cells, right? To protect against that free radical damage. Evening skin tone. We've been talking about that a lot. So imagine if you are partnering both your arbutin with your vitamin C. Now you're getting two different ways to brighten your skin. Plus, who doesn't want help with lines and wrinkles? So this is why I say everyone should be using a vitamin C for the brightening, for the antioxidant, for the help with lines and wrinkles, for the evening skin tone. Now, here's something that I really love to talk about is customizing. Not a cookie cutter approach to a skincare regimen, which I'm really excited that Obagi formulates the vitamin C for different skin types. Remember back to, we're talking about skin types: thick skin, thin skin, oily skin, dry skin, all of those things. And it's important that we know that because formulations need to get into the skin differently based on those skin conditions. So for me, I use the vitamin C 10%. I'm never going to use the 15 or 20. It's not a goal to work your way up in this case. The goal is to align yourself with the vitamin C that's appropriate for your skin type. So my skin is dry and it is sensitive. So the 10% has more of a humectant base to it, right? Now, as we move to the 15%, maybe some of you on the call are combination, right? Maybe you have that T-zone oily, cheek dry, 15% is going to be for you. Or maybe you say, yeah, my skin's not dry, it's not oily, it's kind of normal. So maybe 15% would be for you. Now, those of you on the call and you're like, my skin is oily, it's damaged, it is, thick, it's resilient, it's coarse, like it can tolerate a lot of activity, the 20% is going to be most suited for you. So you just choose one, right? Which one am I going to choose? The one that's formulated for your skin type. And then when do you use it? We talked about time of day, right? And that's important too. We want to use our vitamin C in the morning because of the antioxidant, right? And we want to protect our cells for when we go out into those environmental stressors that we talked about. So not only does this product go on beautifully, I love our vitamin C serum. I love the stability of our vitamin C serum. I love the cosmetic elegance of our vitamin C serum. I love the spreadability of it. But that is some of the reasons why I'm in love with it. But let's talk about this. How is it stable? It's stable because of that pH, right? Obagi got that pH just right. Not only that, is we have data to support the absorption into the skin, and we've got data to support how it penetrates into the skin. So I'm a big fan of our vitamin C's. If you haven't had a chance to try it yet, I absolutely recommend that you try it. It is my favorite product in the entire portfolio. So get ready for a poll question. Find your little space to type in your poll, because here it goes. It is about the vitamin C serum. And the question is, where would your vitamin C serum fit into the Nu-Derm regimen? Remember, we talked about the order of application, and it doesn't have a vitamin C in the Nu-Derm. And since I said, hey, everybody needs one, where are you going to put it in? Are you going to put it in after your sunscreen towards the end? Are you going to put it in after your toner, maybe towards the beginning? Are you going to put it in after your Blend FX at night? Or are you going to put it in, not in the Nu-Derm, because we don't really put it in the Nu-Derm. It doesn't fit into that. Which one is it? Sunscreen, after toner, after Blend FX, or it just doesn't work in the Nu-Derm? We'll give everybody a few seconds to put those answers in, and I'm excited to see where everybody says here. Oh my gosh, can you believe that? You guys were 92%. You nailed it. That's right. I'm so excited to see that. I love that. Yes, after the toner is correct. So we like to apply products thinnest to thickest, right? Think of water, then gel, then cream. So actually the vitamin C serum, since I shared that with you, the beauty of how beautiful this is, this wouldn't penetrate through like a clear or a blend or a hydrate or a sunscreen, because that's a thicker molecular weight, right? We want to get this one into the skin first. So fantastic job, everyone. Now let's talk about our retinols, because we do talk about blending, right, with our friend, which is our retinol. Now, vitamin A. Vitamin A, naturally, you can find in fish and carrots and papaya and broccoli and all of these things, right? So that's where we can get it naturally sourced. But we want to get the topical benefit of vitamin A. So how can we do that? We can get it through our Obagi retinol, and we do have a 0.5 and a 1%. A lot of times we get asked, which one is right for you? Is it the 0.5 or is it the 1%? So if you're just new to retinoid therapy, possibly the 0.5 would be most appropriate. And if you've been using a retinoid therapy for quite some time, maybe you can make the jump to a 1%. So that's going to be up to your skin condition. So retinols, they've been used for more than 30 years. So there's a lot of data behind supporting this, helping with fine lines and wrinkles and photo aging. So we've been talking about that a lot today. Our Obagi retinols are non-acnegenic. So that is great news for those of you who are prone to breakouts. Dermatologist tested, of course. And what's beautiful about our retinols is that, and we'll talk about the formulation in just a minute and the ingredient deck, which is lovely, but it is because of those ingredients that in some data that was collected, the subjects had minimal to no skin redness, dryness, flaking, or irritation during the course of that study. So let's talk a little bit about the retinols. So we have an entrapped polypore technology. So that's one of the reasons why you don't get the irritation, redness that we talked about. This is helping with lines and wrinkles, as we mentioned. Now the 0.5 and the 1%, you'll see in the ingredient list, they're slightly different, right? So when you look at the 0.5, chamomile, calendula, green tea extract, shea butter, all of this helps support the tolerability. And when you look at the 1%, you'll see jojoba oil. Jojoba oil is the oil that's most like sebum. So that's fantastic for those who are oily and prone to breakouts. Ubiquinone or coenzyme Q10, fantastic fantastic antioxidant. Look at these other ingredients. We all know chamomile is soothing, right? But St. John's wort and sage leaf and elderberry flower, don't you love this ingredient deck? I absolutely love it. Again, non-acnegenic and dermatologist tested. So formulas are infused with chamomile, calendula, licorice extract, right? And shea butter to known to soothe the condition of the skin. The study that I spoke about was performed over a 3-week period. Now, I say vitamin C in the morning, and I believe that's a must-have, and I also say vitamin A at night. So these are kind of my 2 must-haves, right, in your skincare regimen. Now, why? Why do I say that vitamin A is a must-have? Because by week 3, 90% of participants said they had an improvement in their facial appearance. They had improvement in texture and resilience. They had a refreshed and firmer look, even skin tone, and brighter. So remember, we've been talking about getting that brighter skin and that evening skin tone. So this is going to be a fantastic way to support that journey. And patients felt their fine lines and wrinkles were less visible. So who doesn't want help with all those parameters as we talk about improved facial appearance, texture, resilience, brightness, lines and wrinkles? This is phenomenal to help you with your discoloration. Well, I just want to thank you all. That's the end of the presentations.
Let's see, last minute things. If anybody has any additional questions about the Nu-Derm Fx products or the Elastoderm products or the Professional C products, any of Obagi's over-the-counter products, we do have an amazing customer care team at LovelySkin who's very well educated in the products, because we have the awesome opportunity to get trainings from amazing people like Lisa. So just give us an email, send us an email at customercare@lovelyskin.com. They'd be happy to answer any follow-up questions that you might have about any of the topics that were discussed tonight. And lastly, I do want to thank you, Lisa, so much for taking the time to put your presentation together and present the information for us today. It's so great to have such amazing educators at our fingertips here.
Well, I thank you for that, Chrissy. And I just want to thank everyone on the Obagi side, Michelle and Andy, for joining me. And also, what a great partnership Obagi and LovelySkin make. I just think that, we just work so well together. And I thank you for putting this together. And we're excited to be able to offer more of this in the future.
Thanks again, Lisa. I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.